Welcome back, everybody. So my next movie review for you is Snowpiercer. So Snowpiercer was released on the 29th of July 2013. It made $86.8 million dollars in the box office. It has a cast that consists of Chris Evans, John Hurt, Tilda Swinton, Ed Harris, plus many, many others. I'm not getting into some of the other names because I know I can't actually pronounce them. So this movie follows after the Earth's second ice age, where a quite a few people are living their life on this big luxury train as it plows through the snow, and it later becomes apparent that there are two kind of classes on this train, and the lower class start to do a bit of a revolt and trying to take over the train by taking the engine. And that is basically the whole premise of this movie. And I have to be honest with you, I was actually pleasantly surprised. It's not an absolutely fantastic, amazing, epic movie, but it was actually kind of entertaining. What I enjoyed about this is they set the story off, or they put the outline of the story of why everybody's on this train at the beginning of this movie. So basically, it's to do with global warming. Basically, the Earth was heating up to the point, and they devised this chemical agent basically to spray in the sky, to basically cool the temperatures down on Earth. Little did they know, they sent the Earth into an ice age, and this train is pretty much the world's last surviving people on the whole of the Earth. It's not a small train in any way, shape, or form. It's quite a long train, and you, like I said, you got different classes. You got more of the posher kind of good living class, and then you got the lower end, which are, you know, the poorer. They live in quite crappy conditions, tight conditions. The hygiene's not the best. The food is atrocious, and all that kind of stuff. And it's got that kind of thing. And then they're just leading a revolt led by Chris Evans' uh, character in this movie to basically take over the train. And like I said, generally it's just a very entertaining movie. What stood out for me in this movie is one, is not to get too attached to any of the characters in this. This is pretty much a bloodbath, this movie. I have to be honest with you. There is quite a few deaths in there, which, to be honest with you, does get explained as well at the end of this movie, which I'll get into in a minute. But the other thing I enjoyed is when they are moving, especially at the start of this revolt as well, they're moving through carriage, and each carriage has a different kind of, I want to say, difficulty level, which reminds me of a computer game, because every carriage they go to, they get to one carriage, they overcome that problem, they get to another carriage, they overcome that problem, and that is basically how this feels. It almost feels like they're moving through a computer game levels to a certain respect, and I generally kind of like that aspect. Like I said, it is pretty much a bloodbath, this movie. I have to be honest with you. Performances in here, and Chris Evans in here is actually really, really good. It's not his best performance ever, and it's like most of the other characters in here as well. Even John Hurt. John Hurt's in this movie. I love John Hurt as a actor. I really, really do. Again, you don't get to see his full potential as an actor in this movie. He's like an older character in here, and I'm not gonna give anything away on this movie just in case you haven't seen it. The people that have seen it, I can't give too much away, because I just generally don't. This movie is a little bit more than the poor overrunning this train and taking the engine. And I I watched most of it yesterday, and then I fell asleep, and I finished watching it today, and I was just like, that okay, this is different and all that kind of stuff. There is a twist at the end of this movie, which actually I thought. Actually, I did wonder last night, is how is this going to play out? How is this going to pan out? Is it going to be as simple as just taking over the engine room of this train? And it's apparent that it is not that simple. And I generally like that twist. Like I said, this movie is not the best movie in the world, but it is still entertaining. It is pretty action packed, to be honest with you. There are some quite good fight scenes, there's some quite brutal death scenes in this as well. Like I said, it is pretty much a bloodbath, and you cannot get attached to too many characters in this movie. But you do get that. I don't know what it was that made me enjoy it so much. I think it's like because that kind of what I was saying. It felt like this computer game kind of feel to it. Like as in each carriage they get through, there's that it goes up in difficulty challenge that setting is, if you know what I mean. So each level you go through on a computer game or whatever, that next level gets a little bit harder. And this is exactly how this is kind of played out through a whole of this movie. And I generally like that touch. And they get through this, and you get towards the end, and you get everything explained. You get different stories about what's going on or been going on this train in the last 18 years. And and you get to see a little bit of a twist and a plot twist in this movie, and it just made it entertaining for me. I actually really enjoyed it. Like I said, performances in here are not the best in the world, I have to be honest with you, but as a whole, as a general, it is an entertaining watch which I could quite happily sit down and watch again. And I would have gone to see this in the cinema as well, which just, I really, really would, and walked out the cinema going, okay, yeah, that was worth the money. It was worth the money, and I'm glad I actually watched it. Other things about this movie, the fight sequences in this are actually pretty good. I have to be honest, I do enjoy it. Tilda Swinton's character in this as well, I think is actually really, really good. I really, really do. I like her quite a fair bit. It's exactly the same as, like I said, Chris Evans' character in here. I actually really enjoy as well. John Hurt, you don't really get to see his acting potential in this, to be fair, and you don't, which is a little bit of a shame because he's a cracking actor, to be honest with you. Even Ed Harris's character in here, knowing what kind of acting he's done in the past, it's a bit of a tamed down kind of version of him. I did like his character, but you don't get to see a huge amount of him, I have to be honest. But I just, I don't know why, I can't put my finger on why I enjoy this movie so much. There's something about this movie which I just generally really, really enjoyed. And it just made it for an entertaining watch. I think it's that kind of, it felt like that game platform kind of feel it had, like going through each carriage, got to get through different things, and just to get to that engine room. And I think I just enjoyed that side of it, and the fact that the poor are starting to uprise to take over this train to essentially just make it better for the people at the back of this train. I think that's what it was. Throw in a few plot twists, throw in a few stories of the past on the train. It just made it very, very good. It's that case of the poor's desperation to have a better life. But essentially, again, once you see this movie, or if you've seen this movie, everything's there for a reason. And it just really, really worked for me. I have to be honest with you. If I was to rate this, I would give this a strong 7 out of 10. It's as simple as that, because it is quite entertaining. So, if you've seen this movie, please tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below. If you haven't seen this movie, I do recommend this movie. Give it a watch. Come back. Tell me what you think. Put it in the comments down below. As normal, I hope you all have a great rest of the day. Whatever you're doing, please take care and goodbye.